Before we start, we need to tell you up front we are not a licensed financial planning, accounting or law firm. This is simply an education program which will give you factual information. We do not give any general or specific advice around finance, business, investing, options trading or anything else. That is not what this presentation does. Please see a licensed financial planner when it comes to any investment advice you need.
Edge Radio Australia. We are doing the Greater Wealth because it's 1 o'clock and we've got Derek in, and what else would we possibly do, right? And that makes sense. Unfortunately, we've got Travis Carter, and I always say unfortunate because, well, quite frankly, I mean it. Travis, great to have you here, mate. Can you feel the love? Honestly.
It's all right, Travis.
You're between us here now. Honestly, Derek, can you feel the love? Can you?
I don't want to break out into a song, it's like that moment, The Lion King. No, the love is there.
It is. Lion King.
No, it is the Lion King.
Once upon a time when I had the long hair.
Can
and
you
the
feel
lines,
the love
I could have been the Lion King.
I've seen that photo. I've seen that photo.
Now, we're here not to talk about hair or fashion or lack of either, really. We're here to talk about money. The Greater Wealth, mate, it is your little puppy, and it's a great little puppy. It's growing well. That's nice.
It's been fun watching this. I mean, I do some editing on the show and that sort of stuff, and I'm
Good
like,
stuff.
It
like,
cuts
this
Aaron
is
out.
really cool. This is cool. Yeah, we censor Travis.
we kind of have to.
We do, mate. We do. Oh, dear.
Hey,
Well,
it's not my fault. I've got the guts to say what you're thinking.
oh,
Did you like that one?
jeez. Oh, slide it in wherever you can. Boom,
Slip
boom.
it in.
Oh, dear. Now, obviously, the objective of this show is not to slip it in. Sometimes it is. But the other objective is like to bring to everyday Aussies, let's say, look, tactics or a roadmap to create freedom for themselves, right? And obviously, we're doing it through the financial things. And look, this is a great opportunity. This is obviously not financial advice. This is education, right?
Yeah.
So, and we're certainly nothing coming from Travis or myself is education. But for yourself, mate, all the way. Look, what's on the old show today?
It's been a huge week.
Because I know nothing. I am so dry. I've walked in, and I know nothing. So you've got to,
there is
start
a
journey,
lot
mate.
going on. It's almost like, where do you start? Obviously, and I know it's been oversaturated in the media already, and we haven't had the funeral yet, but the announcement of the death of the Queen is big news.
Oh, really? I haven't even heard it. Where was this?
Which rock have you been hiding under?
And not this one either.
No. Freddie's been gone a while. All right.
So for those that are watching on the social medias, thank you. Welcome. Big Freddie Mercury poster.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So watching the Royals is very interesting from an economic perspective because this is early days yet, but you've got to wonder how many nations in the Commonwealth are going to be rethinking the relationship to the royal family right now.
Oh, absolutely. That's a big play.
That's huge.
Look at our doorstep. Like Adam Bant, that other one that Pauline had to crack out. They're already calling for a republic, and it was the same. She wasn't even called yet, but yet they were already calling for a republic.
It's interesting too because some nations are going to have to rewrite their constitutions because they're tied to the Queen. Nations like
absolutely.
Jamaica, I think Belarus is also. And you wonder in that process where they're going to go, well, hang on a second, what is our relationship to the crown now moving forward? So this is really, really huge in terms of how the Commonwealth operates.
Yep.
And it's also very fascinating. It's all interrelated. Many people are going to be wondering Prince Charles' relationship to the World Economic Forum. Now, you may recall in 2020 in January, he made this huge announcement and launched what they call the Sustainable Markets Initiative. And since then, of course, we had all the what we know of COVID, but also the interesting stuff happening in the Netherlands with the farmers.
Hasn't that been very eye-opening?
And I wasn't aware of this, but how big the production of food to the food bowl of the world in the Netherlands actually is. I wasn't aware of that, but it's massive.
I didn't know. I mean, I thought that the Netherlands, their biggest sort of exports were
wooden shoes,
tulips, wooden shoes, and Max Verstappen. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Max Verstappen certainly looks an interesting mix in the Formula One.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Oh, hang on, and the fiddly, the strange parsley.
The strange what? Sorry,
the strange parsley. Yeah, Amsterdam, man.
Oh,
think about it. Yeah, geez.
I actually went to a Dutch
what
reform.
currency.
Sorry, go on. I digress.
That aside, I was going to say I went to a Dutch Reform school. I became familiar with some of their food.
Right.
The droppies and their those are nice. Have you heard droppies?
No,
It's
no.
like little licorice.
Right.
Anyway.
Well, that's the problem there. It's licorice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love licorice.
My auntie's Swedish and she does the salted licorice. And I'm like,
That's
I
what it
didn't
is,
know
Oh.
that it was salted licorice, and I ate one. And I like nearly threw up immediately. It's just like
You got to be prepared for it. It has a twist.
Yep.
So
a
yeah,
twist. Oh, that's one word for it.
but this is really interesting because while this has all been going on,
Yep.
across the pond, across Atlantic, in of course Canada, there's been a fascinating development with this guy called Pierre, and forgive me if I pronounce the surname wrong. It's one of these French words, Polyleuve. Is that how we say it?
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Polyleuve?
It's Polylove.
Polylove.
Yeah, Polylove.
This guy won the race to be the head of the Conservative Party,
Perfect last name.
and will
Polylove.
Yeah.
be taking on Trudeau, and has basically come out and said anyone who has any association with the World Economic Forum will not be welcome. Will be banned.
On
All
that
ministers.
line alone, if I was Canadian, I'd vote for him. Okay, honestly, that's because the World Economic Forum has just become the most destructive force, let's face it, in the world today. And we've seen how Trudeau has just been an absolute puppet to it all. So, no, this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Genuine conservative.
So you're seeing this pushback come
Yeah.
where the masses are finally saying, hey, we're represented by people who may actually make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're seeing this in Canada.
I think it's already started.
Sorry?
As well. The Italy Prime Minister is very conservative.
Okay.
So there's another one there as well.
Yep. Yes, I remember reading something about that as well. United States, obviously, the Trump-Biden thing, the deliberation in terms of where will Trump be back? Well, I think it's pretty obvious he will be back, even if he's not prepared to come out and directly say it. It'll be interesting how this plays out in Australia. Be very, very interesting. I think there's already been signs from some of the very far left. We need to become sovereign, et cetera, et cetera. But I wonder how this is going to play on the Australian psyche and whether they're going to really see themselves as belonging to the monarchy as they once have in relation to the new monarch.
It will be
rising to the
interesting. It'll
throne.
be very interesting to see. I don't ever like to sit on the fence, but I am a little on the fence on this one. As far as from the point of view of, over the last few days, we've heard some really positive things, obviously, about the Queen, some really negative things about the Queen and the monarchy and that sort of thing. And I think I've always personally been a little bit more pushing the Republic side,
right?
Been more away from the Queen because I see it as irrelevant and something of the past that maybe doesn't work anymore. But I say that, and on one hand, I can see traditions and I see how important they are. So it's a bit of a fight. And my greatest fear from all of this is actually not, the Queen as such. It's actually, I'm going to be sick saying this, but King Charles is the most frightening thought to me. That man is unhinged. He's an idiot, and he is absolutely in bed with some very, very evil people.
I thought you were about to say he's in bed with a horse, but I thought, wow, that's a little bit harsh.
Hey, he gets in bed every night and says, hey, honey, what's with the long face? Anyway, go on.
I think the thing that we really need to look at first is why are we still a part of the monarchy in the first place? Why are we still under the Commonwealth? Why are we a part of the Commonwealth?
Yep.
We don't really get much military aid from it at the moment.
No.
There's no. They don't send out. I think 73 was the last time the so-called Queen actually did anything politically in Australia, and that's when they dissolved the Whitlam government. So
75, mate.
75. There you go. The way I see it, it's just a trade agreement,
which we have a new one, really. Let's face it, anyway.
There's nothing really keeping us there. So now we have to have a look at what happens if we do leave.
Yeah.
And I've read through a lot of the so-called constitution when they tried to do the Republic last time, and that was probably one of the worst piece of legislations I've ever read.
Okay.
There was absolutely no checks and balances to make sure that we don't end up as a communist country.
Right.
So I think you'll find a lot of people voted against the Republican for the sole fact that we had one person that was not Australian who could be relied upon. I don't like it being the Queen,
yep.
but we had that final balance where no, we're going to election,
Sure.
would dissolve the parliament and go straight into election. With the Republican paperwork I've seen, the constitutions that put forward, we didn't have any of that.
Look, I see right now is a time where sovereignty is so important. Like it's primary, to our existence and the way we move forward. And when I see press conferences that I've watched over the last couple of days, okay, with our Prime Minister, right, standing there with the Aboriginal flag behind him and no Australian flag within sight of the camera shot, right?
Didn't they move it back after Adam?
No, that was Adam Band, yeah. But when our Prime Minister is now playing the same game, right?
Oh.
So there is no, because now apparently the Australian flag is, it's seen like a Confederate flag. It's something that's racist apparently. No, it's not. It's something we should be very bloody proud of, right? This country and the people who fought to keep our sovereignty and protect our future generations and ones before should be honoured. And that flag does that. Now, whether it's this flag or we change the flag or whatever, right now we have people in power who want to hide those symbols, right?
So
it's crazy.
The bit I find really fascinating is, so you know how we're talking about the Conservatives in Canada and all the other countries are finally pushing back?
Mm-hmm.
I can't see that happening in Australia because our Conservatives are meant to be the Liberal Party.
Yep.
The Liberal Party have effectively died in WA. They are no longer a major party in WA. They've just had their asses handed to them across the country in the federal election. You've got that Lard Dye, the Liberal candidate who ran as an independent, ended up winning. Actually, when she did her maiden speech, was wearing a dress made of the Australian flag to show how proud she was actually to be Australian.
Yep.
Why aren't the so-called Conservatives, which is supposed to be the Liberal Party, standing up and actually being a Conservative party? Why are they support effectively Labor light? Why are they the left light?
Yes.
None of their policies have actually been conservative.
Very, very
They've
true.
absolutely abandoned the conservative people of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I find it disgusting. And I cannot see, I can't see any form of resistance or pushback coming from the Liberal government.
It's absolutely frightening. Yeah, you're right. But okay. And we should wind it because we need to
talk finance. Not
we do. We follow that up.
O'clock we do the political.
That's exactly right.
The issue is that politics plays right into the finance. Now, if your nation doesn't have its sovereignty, it's going to be playing to giving a lot of its money over to the Commonwealth.
That's right.
Right. So this is what the whole point. If you have a mass exodus of nations right now, it really dissolves that pool of funds. What's also interesting, all in this mix too, getting onto this, is the Vatican has instructed all of its Vatican entities to bring all the money back to its bank.
Really?
It's huge. Right?
Wow.
So this is massive. And you have to ask the question, why?
Yeah. Okay. Is this because the Queen's passed away? Is this a direct result, or is just the timing similar?
I don't think it's a direct result.
Okay.
I think it's something else. But
the timing is sus. Like it's something's up.
Something's up?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking millions and millions and billions of dollars coming back into their coffers. And the exact question is why? Why is the Catholic Church doing that? The Vatican.
I don't know what they're invested in.
Look, with the whole COVID experience, I mean, I've got my questions about the Vatican, full stop. Certainly the messaging coming out from the Catholic Church particularly was pretty ordinary. And it certainly wasn't protecting individual rights, right? And again, this is a finance show, but protecting people's financial freedom and their individual rights rather are intertwined. Simple as that. So, okay.
And looking at on a finance side of things, if you do have manufacturing, production, and everything that gives you your own sovereignty as a country, regardless of what happens in another country, you can preserve your own economy. Australia at the moment is too tied up with other countries.
Oh, absolutely.
We are at the absolute mercy. So if everyone does start bailing off out of the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth has a massive downturn, are they going to start calling in Australia to start paying taxes to the Commonwealth again? Because at the moment we don't give any money except through trade to the UK. So just on that thought, we have had Kayleen, flip side of some of the same coin. Labor, Liberals, Independents are our only hope, but too many sheeple. So,
again, 100% agree with that. Yeah,
but media.
Yeah.
See, just getting back to the Vatican, the IOR, which is technically the Bank of the Vatican, right? So a number of its clients declined by 472 in the year ending 2020. And so nearly half of its clients are actually religious orders and this sort of stuff. So the question is, why are these dropping out?
Yeah.
A few years back, they had a big investment go absolutely wrong in land. It was a bit of a financial scandal, which has some interesting ties to Australia in the way it plays out with one of the cardinals that was
Wasn't Pell, was it?
He wasn't in terms of the financial scandal, no, but he was. There was a cardinal called Angelo Chui, who basically denies all. It was allegedly done this. The finger pointing's going on. He's denying all of this. That was not the case. So it's really interesting how there's this connection there, because we had Cardinal Pell, who was in charge of finances at some point as well, prior to all of that.
Well, he was seen as the big saviour, let's face it, as far as financially, the mess that was in place between the Vatican and Australia.
So, all of that context plays into why is the Vatican doing this now. It's very, very fascinating.
Okay, wow.
And they have till the 30th of September to do so.
Now, I'm going to guess the Vatican won't exactly show a lot of transparency, not a organisation known for that. So it'll be pretty interesting to see where we go on that one. All right, but now we've got very concerning stuff going on with money. Let's face it, people are worried about cash disappearing, and there's articles on TV and radio and so forth about cash, the Australian dollar not being used, right? I mean, is this another way of, I've literally got asked today, do I start buying silver? Right? Simple as that. Now, how am I going to trade? When you see now you can't actually, you apply for a job. If you apply for a job, you have to give them all your banking details, which is just an amazing, invasion of privacy on that sort of thing. I'm curious, how viable, how realistic do you guys feel it is that we will stop using the Australian dollar in this country in the foreseeable future?
I reckon 5 years. That's my guess.
Okay.
Regardless of what we do, there's banks are removing ATMs, they're closing branches. A lot of places are taking everything digitally online. They've already had the cash ban bill get turned over by Malcolm Roberts. They've already tried to do the bank bail-in laws.
Yes.
Everything indicates they're trying to dissolve currencies full stop. I think they're trying to push to.
Well, I think there's a difference between currency and cash.
Yeah,
so we've got to make the distinction right there,
for sure.
Right, there is the electronic means of things. So there are two different topics, but they are related. How long will we have cash for? As far as crypto is concerned, I look at it this way: that the toothpaste is out of the tooth tube. You can't put it back.
Yep.
And governments have been trying to go, well, what do we do with this thing? First of all, we'll tax it.
Yeah.
that's the first immediate
That's their
response.
go-to. Let's face it, right?
Yeah. Now, what do we do in terms of it being legal tender and currency? And can businesses do deals with this and all that sort of stuff? I think most people would be viewing that in terms of there's two sides of the crypto debate, whether it's investment or whether it's currency. And those are two different views to look at it. If you're if you need to pay someone on the other side of the world, then you look at it as a means of transfer.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
Which
currency
you can't do with physical gold or silver and that sort of thing.
Soon you can.
Well,
talk about that later.
There are those cryptos that are coming out which are gold backed and all that sort of stuff. Yes, there is that caveat, but generally speaking, the other part of that is an investment. Well, for me, it's very speculative investment because it's all dependent on the next guy buying it at a higher price than you bought it at. Let's just be real.
Yeah. But that's the basics of the free market economy anyway. Let's face it, right? Supply and demand.
Well,
that's where
I don't think it's so clear cut as that.
No.
If I buy shares in a company, I'm sharing in the profits of that company.
That's correct.
And a lot of it is based on what is the valuation of that business.
Sure.
Right. Which is very different from what is the valuation of some of these cryptos. How do they get value? And that's been the big uncertainty in economic circles about this.
Well, again,
and also government regulation.
Okay.
What will governments do? Will they ban it like China has often done? Crypto and that sort of stuff. This is the unknown factor about crypto.
That's where don't get me wrong, I have crypto, but I'm limiting to only 1%. I refuse to buy more than 1% of my portfolio.
Okay.
So we've got a couple of houses and whatnot. So I think what will happen is it will get to a point where the government can't control it and the government won't be able to help themselves, like superannuations. They've got to put their dirty little fingers into it. And I think they'll go, right, we need to get this money back. And it will either be taxed at an insanely high rate. I'm already hearing people saying that they're getting taxed as if it's a stamp duty transaction rather than an actual form of currency like earning. So that's straight away, regardless of what you earn, that's 50%.
Sure.
So I can actually see the government turning around saying, no, it's not illegal. It's a scam, so no one's allowed to use it. Same as what they've done with the binary options for foreign exchange. You can do a thing called binary options. You put a trade on up or down. If it goes up, you win. If it goes down, you lose.
Okay.
So it's effectively it's roulette for
Very
financial
speculative.
market.
Yeah. Okay.
So in Australia, they've actually gone, 80% of people lose their money, so we're going to ban it. But yet you can go down the casino and do exactly that, but it's fine.
I think more than 80% of the people go to the casino lose their money. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Otherwise, the casino wouldn't work.
exactly. So why have they then banned one form of income, which you can kind of predict, you can kind of guess as indicators what's going to happen, where as long as you have the knowledge, you can actually make a lot of money.
Well, I'll answer that clearly. It's about money. I mean, the fact is, if the government can't make any money out of it,
they can't control
But
it.
gambling works in its own different silo. The moment you put it on an exchange and you say it's speculative, well, this enters into the investment and financial world and hinges on that, which is a highly regulated industry.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I think there is a difference there. I can see why they're trying to go, hey, this is, if they deem something to be too dangerous, why they do that. I'm not saying it should be done, but this is where the lines get blurred in terms of boundaries.
From this show, people probably guessed by now that I do a bit of foreign exchange trading. And the thing that I find really, really fascinating at the moment is how poorly the Japanese yen's actually doing. So a lot of whenever Japan, I find is really fascinating as a business culture. They've got a totally different mindset to what a lot of other countries have.
Okay.
So I'm going to use the way, let's say you've got a business over in let's say Australia, they just pick up a massive government contract, and generally what happens is all that money, they go, oh, great, we can reinvest it all. And so they take that big wad of cash and then they reinvest it and to try and bring more money into the business. Okay. And they only pay like quarterly, monthly, yearly dividends to the shareholders.
Gotcha.
In Japan, it's totally different. So let's say they pick up a government contract and they get a big down payment, like a couple of $1 billion, whatever. What they do, they then divide all that money up, like keep some out for reinvestment. Sure. And then they give it all directly back to their shareholders straight away.
Really?
Like in addition to other things, like just the mentality of a lot of the businesses over there.
Okay, but how does that
totally different?
How does it build a business if you're not reinvesting into the business?
So that's the thing, because the investors have already had the money given back to them. Then they can go and reinvest that. They leave it to the investors to reinvest, not the company themselves. It's a little bit. They're more about personal wealth rather than the wealth of the company.
Okay.
So the bit that I find really fascinating is when back in the 80s, Japan was growing extremely fast.
Crazy,
they got to the third largest economy in the world at the time. They noticed with China coming up as well, they couldn't compete. There was going to be a lot of things. There's going to be a massive deflation going on. And the government in Japan was very, very interesting because they immediately started taking gradual steps, like reducing the interest rates down to 0 and -%, really trying to soften that blow instead of going to a recession and just having an absolute shit time for a long time. They said, right, we're going to do this now. We're going to do it early, and we're going to like try and preserve our lifestyle and our economy as much as possible. So pretty much, if you look at the growth level of Japan, is in the late 80s, early 90s, sort of like hit a peak. It's just stayed relatively flat the whole entire time. That's through the GFC, through the COVID pandemic, through everything. They've been pretty obviously ups and downs, but they've been pretty steady the whole way through when you look at all the other countries. So what's happened is a lot of people, especially with what America is doing, they're going, oh, another country with 0% interest rate or negative interest rates is Japan. So let's look at Japan to compare what's going on at the moment. But there's so many differences to what America is doing, to what UK is doing, to what Australia is doing to deal with what's going on at the moment with this hyperinflation that's coming through. Because Japan had something very similar. They were getting a lot of inflation going in and they had to stop it. And that's what they did to stop it. They did theirs over 30 years. They did not print 80% of their money in 2 years. So I find it fascinating that people are saying that. But what's happened since the Queen has passed away, just doing a bit of a tie-in with that one. The Japanese dollar all of a sudden has started getting a lot weaker. So at the moment, so historically, I think it's 107 Japanese yen. So every Aussie dollar would buy 107 Japanese yen. That's a historical high.
Okay.
So we're actually at the moment between 97, 98 because it fluctuates about 200 pips. So that's about, 1 to 2 cents per day. Okay. So it fluctuates around that mark quite a while. It's been there. Normally it'll go up, then it'll come back down, then it'll go back up and it comes back down. Everything that goes up must come down. But the Japanese yen, again, over the last, say, 2 months or so, it's gone up and it's hovered between that 95 to 98 Japanese yen. It's just held steady And now that the Queen's gone, it's gone up again. So a lot of people have been saying, right, let's look to Japan, what's going to happen with America. But I find it's a really, really dangerous comparison to do, just because the whole mindset of the Japanese people is totally different to Western markets.
Sure.
So it's something I find people have got to be really, really careful of. And it's one of the dangers. I've got a message. Oh, my battery's probably gone flat.
Oh, dear.
I'm just unchanged the battery. But yeah,
I'm with that. You do that, mate, because I'm going to throw it to Derek on this, mate. Because I mean, look, that I don't understand the markets in Japan. Okay, look, I barely understand the language. So, what does that mean?
Well, it's totally different. It's like comparing apples to oranges.
Okay.
I mean, Japan has some small islands that don't have the resources, natural resources the United States has. You know, America can produce its own oil, whether you agree with it or not, through fracking and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
You know, it's got a population that is huge compared to, it's the largest economy in the world. It's not a fair comparison.
Okay.
So one is like the other. I mean, Japan was basically built up after World War II
Yeah.
because they didn't want to repeat the error that they'd done to Germany in World War One and actually beat it to its end. And then because of that, they beat it so much, a dictator rose up and let's have another world war. So with the Versailles Treaty. So I don't think it's a fair comparison at all.
Okay.
It's one of the dangers of having access to too much information.
Yeah.
And also not double checking the information that you're getting.
Well, this is so important. Like, okay, we are overrun with information these days, right? And it is very easy to get overwhelmed, and it's easy to, like, listen to all these narratives and all kind of carry on, right? But that's great. Like, I want people to take information in, but you've got to be smart about it. You've got to take it from the left, from the right, from the top, from the bottom. You've got to take your information from everywhere. You can't just be stayed on one side of politics or money or whatever. You need to take it out and be balanced about this, because quite frankly, everybody's got an agenda, right? Everyone's got an agenda. So your personal agenda should be obviously, looking after yourself and your loved ones, your family, right? So for that reason, get some balance, right? Don't just go, oh, okay, this expert. Like, this is why I find a lot of on TV experts and that you see there that have been there for donkey's years. They tell the mass populace sort of how to do things. Well, you're only seeing one side. You're only seeing one side, right? And again, we live in an information sort of generation, right? Go shopping for your info.
You only have to look at how much the internet has changed since it came on, since 98, 99.
Yep.
From that era to what we are now, and 22 years down the path, 24 years.
It's a different thing altogether.
Online marketing itself is a science.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Absolutely.
You can actually get a degree in online marketing.
Yeah, you can.
I find that hilarious.
Well, I actually, there are some whiz kids on it that just get it,
Yeah, they do.
And someone from my generation, I don't know, I can't speak for all of them, but I struggle with it. It doesn't come naturally to me in terms of, I don't like doing it. I just don't. I prefer to market in other ways.
Yeah. Well, people have a very different attention span now. So we could go way down this path, but the reality is attention spans have just gotten shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And now you need to grab people so quickly, and everybody is fighting for that same bite.
Which you've seen with the music industry.
Oh,
if you don't have them in first 30 seconds on Spotify, you don't get royalties.
Yeah.
as
Crazy,
an artist.
Yeah.
So that hook to the song is played immediately off the first bar because they want to pass that 30 seconds. It's changed the entire music industry.
There'll never be another Stairway to Heaven, that's for sure.
And I don't hate to say it. Yes, I'm a Blink. I think Blackpink is an amazing band. Their song, Lisa, one of their artists, is the first Korean artist to actually go platinum in America with a million sales.
Right.
One of her albums. So she's actually Thai.
There you go.
In a K-pop group. The thing is, she gets a lot of criticism saying that her songs just repeat the same thing over and over. And it's like, well, that's what
unfortunately,
sells.
that is what it is now. Exactly right.
So, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And the same with the financial market. So you have to shop around. And this is one thing I find really fascinating is there's a lot of people out there trying to give advice, and they're always referring to the same person over and over and over again. Oh, this person said this, so we have to do this. And it's like, do you actually have a brain for yourself?
Well, okay.
Because no two people are identical.
So on the 22nd of this month, we're doing an education. Yourself, Derek is presenting here through Edge, okay? And this is going to be about education, exactly that. We're not going to go
education. Wow, did you just do that?
Did I just do that? My point being is this is not going to be saying go and listen to this guy or whatever. It's about giving people the tools to do it for themselves.
And the best bit is it's a public holiday.
How good is that?
So there's no reason not to do it. Because if you work a 9 to 5 job, You're getting paid to have that day off. So you come listen to us.
Absolutely. Eventbrite, get on there right now through our website.
I made a tiny URL for it, so
thank you very much.
But I totally forgot what it is.
Okay, it's also on the Facebook page. We'll link it up and make it all happen. You'll do that. You put one in the corner, won't you? You know what you do.
No, we've got our.
So for me, the answer is this: how to live your life purpose. Right, using techniques of wealthy use as a presentation we're going to do. But you say, what is that filter? What is it? And that's why I keep bringing people back to what's your life purpose? What are you meant to be doing on this planet for this time?
Every now and then you come out with a real American word.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people probably forgot that, but you're actually American.
I'm half and half.
Half and half.
I'm one of these dual citizens. So, I had the operation and, got a second passport. But yeah, how to live your life purpose. That's the key.
Yeah. That is the key.
It's going to be different for everybody.
Exactly right. Not everybody. And this is the thing with education. We haven't all got the same goal. Some people's goal is to retire early. Some people want to, get that beautiful yacht or the sports car. Some people want to have a big deposit for their kid's house. Whatever.
Some people want a brown couch in a studio.
Some people do. There you go. So with that, we'll go back to Derek for some common sense. Go on.
Travis, you wanted to talk about, you got on the phone to me, it was last night, and you basically said, hey, I want to talk about businesses that have foreign exchange in their accounts. You want to elaborate on that? And we'll
definitely. So
back and forth.
One of the things, especially considering, this is my gut feeling, I think we're going to have a change of the reserve currency probably over the next 3 to 5 years. Whether that's going to go to the Chinese yuan, the Russian ruble, or if there will be some sort of global currency that they're going to bring out in the meantime. I don't know. There's too many variables floating up at the moment. So I was speaking to a friend of mine who has a flooring business who does imports and exports.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember the conversation we had a long time ago. And to make it, he used to lose an insane amount of money not having the currencies from all the different countries that he dealt with. So he's got different bank accounts in different countries with different currencies in it. So he can organize money to pay for different bills and invoices from all around the world.
Sure.
Because a lot of people don't know this. Let's say you're buying something in UK pounds, I think Visa charges around 7%.
Whoa.
It's actually a lot of money changing currency from one currency to the next. So what you see on the news, that's the real rate. That's not including the broker's fees and charges and whatever you have to do change currency from one rate to the next. So, and obviously all these currencies change. There was this one time, I think it was
Bandcamp?
no flute involved. 2007 or 2006. It was really strange. The currency exchange rates between Australian dollar was really strong versus the New Zealand dollar.
Yep.
The New Zealand dollar was really strong against the US dollar, and the US dollar was really strong against the Australian dollar. So it made like this perfect storm for about half an hour. And I thought, I'll jump on, and just kept transferring money around in circles.
Right.
I actually made a couple $100 out of it. Okay. I started with $10. Like each time I did, I made like $1 or something. So I'm just like massively doing this. And so
he's a strange man.
And hey, it made me money, so I don't care.
Yep.
So what happened, it only lasted for about half an hour before they realized that, oh shit, we've effed up. And they've quickly fixed it. So it's really, it would have made a hell of a lot more money if I didn't have to pay 7% every time I transferred the money.
Sure.
So that's how I found out about the 7% transaction fees and everything. So at the moment, a lot of people are actually trying to set up bank accounts in different countries in different currencies.
Okay.
So a big one I've noticed is you can actually get bank accounts in Australia where you can actually store US dollars in a bank account.
Okay.
So when the currency is really good, so it's sort of like foreign exchange trade.
So you're kind of buying currency,
correct. So, so let's say, like for example, I do a lot of trading on the Australian dollar versus Japanese yen. So when the currencies at the moment, if I had a lot of Aussie dollars spare, you could buy Japanese currency really, really cheap at the moment. So then you just go put that in the bank account, hold it for a long time. So it takes the risk out of the foreign exchange market, but it gives you a new way you can trade.
Sure.
Your money's relatively safe because it's not in Australian currency. So when markets fluctuate really quickly, because with the foreign exchange market, the leveraging is anywhere between 30 to 100 to 1. So even though you can make 100 times more money going up, you can also lose 100 times more money going down. So, and that's a big risk a lot of people have. They don't account for, I can make lots of money, but they don't go, hey,
I could lose.
Let's be careful. We can lose a lot of money. And that's a big thing. So doing it in actual physical currency is a way to take a lot of that risk out.
I have a strange question. Oh, sorry. Didn't want to cut you short.
I just want to
Yeah,
just really quickly, before you start setting up bank accounts offshore, talk to your accountant, please. Talk to your accountant. It's a minefield out there,
right?
Especially the way the ATO look at it and all that sort of stuff. Right?
And
you can actually hold in Australia foreign currency accounts. I know CBA do that for certain currencies, so you can have a US dollar account in Australia.
So again, layman here, not doing a little trading and the things that you guys understand and I don't, right? So I was going to buy something off eBay yesterday, and obviously this particular thing was in the UK, and I've never seen this before. Normally it comes up with the price and it says what it's going to be in GP in pounds, boom, away you go. Yesterday it had a range, right? Because obviously the currency is moving so quickly that it literally had a 25% price range. I couldn't believe it. So literally, like when do you press the button of what you're going to end up paying for it? That's a massive difference in price. And this wasn't something cheap either, I might add. So not stupid cheap. So, I think that, how can we as punters, how can we protect ourselves against that fluctuation? Is there something we can do? Is there a better way we can look at it?
I think people shouldn't be looking at it as how do we protect ourselves on it. People need to be looking at this like, where's the opportunity?
Spot on. Bingo. Okay, I'm with you.
I saw your line from last week on that one. I'm learning, Derek.
It's all good.
You two just stop patting each other on the back.
I think
it's the glass.
I mean, as a trader, it's a huge concern too. If you use a US broker, they'll automatically convert your Aussie dollars if you're in Australia to US dollars, right? If you use one that's international, however, there are companies, they'll keep it in your local currency, whatever your dollars is, and then when you place a trade on the US market, they can only convert that portion of the trade to the US dollar trade itself. And you can also do that on the London markets, etc. So that is one way of dispersing and managing those kind of accounts if you want to keep it in your local currency.
Okay, I'm going to get so much from this event that we're going to do on the 22nd. I really am. I mean that because I'll be able to focus on it, okay, and I'll be able to listen to the advice that you're giving and the education you want. I'm really looking forward to it. I really am, because I consider myself a reasonably bright fella, but the reality is this is just stop shaking your head, Travis. But this is not my world, right? Okay, it's not my world, and I definitely want. I mean, we talk about life purpose and it's something you put forward. My dreams and ambitions are not wrapped up in dollars and cents. They're in things that I want to achieve.
Couches with posters.
That's exactly right. Like it's creating a legacy for the people I love and give opportunity to people to have a voice, right? So that's not would I like to be driving a Porsche next week? Hell yeah, right? But it's not really my focus anymore. My focus is on that. So having that education to actually have the dollars and cents to make those dreams come true, and everyone's dream is different. I can't wait, mate. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be great fun. We'll even give everyone public holiday for it.
You know what? You can take that to the bank.
So I just want to bring up due diligence.
Okay.
Because obviously with finance, you're looking to increase your portfolio. So there's always a rate of return. But what a lot of people don't take into account is the rate of risk or whatever it's called.
Sure.
So today we've been talking about what some of the different countries have been doing and how that's going to affect the market or what has happened on the market. But I just really, really want to reiterate to the people listening at home, if they are looking to get into any form of investment, you need to double check. You need to do your own education. You need to educate yourself exactly what that is,
so
what you're looking to get into. So I was actually talking to a friend of mine today who gets a lot into the mining, and he was at a conference about lithium, cobalt, and a few other things, and about the mining side of things.
Sure.
And they were saying, this is going to be the next big thing. Like, this is going to make you millions and millions of dollars, jump in. But he was saying lithium has gone from like $2,000 a ton to, this is his price, not mine, I haven't checked it yet, but $60,000 a ton. So that's a huge increase. So,
wow.
But when you start looking at the cost to create a battery, so this is what I'm talking about, the electric vehicle industry.
Yep.
If the battery on a car, because there's no secondhand market for secondhand electric vehicles because they're throwaway vehicles. Once the batteries and stuff, you're done. So if a new battery is going to start costing $100,000, who's going to buy one?
Who can buy one?
Yeah, spot on.
Simple as that.
At least, but who cares? So what's going to happen is they're trying to make, and I put it back to the McDonald's theory. Would you rather sell one hamburger, make $10,000, or would you rather sell 100,000 hamburgers for $1 each? So
Mhm.
obviously you might sell the 100,000 hamburgers because that's $100,000 versus $10,000. So is the electric vehicle industry doing exactly the same thing, making the outpricing themselves out of the market and just destroying it? Because if you go all in onto lithium or
Sure.
cobalt or one of these precious metals,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden the market is just so expensive that no one's buying them.
Hmm.
Have you done your due diligence to make sure if that
I
market does go
personally,
south,
and I mean, look, my opinion is, quite frankly, as a business, they can't survive without all of the government incentives and all that sort of thing, right? You took that out of the picture, no one's going to buy a Tesla, okay? No one, okay? I know it dances. I know it's great. You know, I know it's got an iPad. The dashboard is an iPad pretty much. I know that it's, you know, it makes silly sounds and can maybe even drive you home. At the end of the day, I can't afford one.
I love the fact that they use child slavery to mine the lithium for the battery.
Yeah, sure.
So
Small
morally,
details.
I
Don't worry
just
about that.
won't
Yeah,
touch
yeah.
Tesla
Well,
or any electric vehicle.
Well, one of the
company.
things that I always look at with any investment is the exit strategy.
Mm.
How do I get out?
Yeah.
If I want my money back, if I've got to liquidate everything, how easy is it to do that?
Sure.
And you'll find that you've got to read this fine print on that. And one of the things that I do to protect myself is study it, right?
Okay.
Because the more I know about something,
Yep.
the more I'm doing to reduce mistakes and risks.
Okay.
And so, you know, people say to me, you trade stock options trading,
Mhm.
that's highly dangerous. Well, it's not actually, because I know how to do it and what
Sure.
I'm doing, right? And I've looked at it, and they actually really originally were designed to reduce risk.
Of
Most
course
people don't know that,
Mhm.
but Wall Street being Wall Street, like to speculate on these things.
Sure.
So it's understanding that. So one of the things I always do is, that's easy to get in. Anybody's going to take my money to get in.
Sure.
It's how do I get it back?
Okay.
That's the real thing. And I go, all right, are they a good horse to back? And if it's a private deal with these individual people, are they honest? Do I see any flags in terms of greed and self-interest?
Yep.
Those are the things I'm looking for in any business discussion. Is there greed? Is there self-interest here? Yeah, are they legit? Are they honest?
Sure.
All that sort of stuff. What's their track record? What's their experience? Because at the end of the day, any company that you're investing in, particularly those starting out, is basically you're investing in those people.
Of course you are.
Can
Absolutely.
they actually produce a profit? Yes, the price of whatever may go up or down, whatever it might be, but the people around that trying to do the deal, are they going to come up with the goods?
What are their ethics too? Let's face it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, and I'm just going to say that when you're searching for an investment or whatever it happens to be, and you're online, you're looking at that. Now, a lot of the times you won't see that. You're going to see the shop window. You're seeing all the, you know, everything's smiling, everything's peachy. You're not seeing the integrity of the person behind that. So yeah,
I've actually got a personal story about this one. I used to actually, the reason I know about binary options, and now you're not allowed to do them in Australia, I used to trade binary options.
gotcha.
And I was actually pretty good at it. The funny thing is, so the company I was using was actually based in the UK.
Yep.
Awesome company. The problem is, the moment they stopped the binary option in Australia, I couldn't do a direct transfer back to Australia. So I've got, you know, about $500 or so. It's not a lot of money because binary option is so risky. I thought, you know what, I'm happy to lose 500 on this. And that's the key thing. Anytime you do any sort of form of investment, you got to be right. Am I able to lose this money and it's not going to affect me?
Your lifestyle, yeah.
Because you need to make sure that you still pay your rent, pay your mortgage, buy food and all that sort of stuff. You shouldn't be investing money that you need now.
Sure.
So I was like, you know what, I don't need this money at the moment. I'll go see how I go. It started out $100. I got it up to 500. Like, great, let's get that money back to Australia. Can't do it.
Right.
So now I've got to transfer from there to a crypto to another coin, not coin wallet. It's a Lobster account. From there, I had to go to another account. From that account into another one in the Philippines. From that account into Binance account. From that Binance account into Australia.
Okay. Right. Now
And
this comes back. This comes back to education and having an exit strategy, as you say. So that's something we can learn with on the 22nd, I guess. And understanding exit strategies. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll look at a number of factors that the wealthy do that the poor don't.
Okay.
That's what we're
love
gonna
it. Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You know, this is the end of the show, mate. You know, that's it.
It's gone quick.
It's funny,
it has
the end of the
absolutely
show's
flown
here,
by.
and Taz has just sent us a message. She's back.
Oh,
Taz, you missed out a perler of a show.
it's nothing without Taz. Let's face it, right?
Oh, the battery went flat on the camera, so that's something interesting.
Very
I wonder
high tech.
How long will that statues for? The Kiwis. It's the cheaper.
3 to 5 minutes.
Oh, that'll do. All right. Any last words, guys? I'll throw it to you, Derek.
22nd.
Yes, let's
it's
do
a
it.
public holiday. It's Thursday, the 22nd. It's a day that is taken as a national holiday for mourning and all that for the late Queen. But listen, why not make something of it in the evening? We're going to get onto it, and you can register through. Have you linked it up to your website yet? You can do a search on Eventbrite.
Of course we haven't.
Go to Eventbrite and look up the Greater Wealth. Okay.
Absolutely. Eventbrite, that's where you need to be. Get your tickets from there and look, be part of it. Honestly, this is going to be really, really important. I cannot wait, as I keep saying.
Aaron. I'll send you the link. And
do not give me any of the links kind of thing. You're the IT guy. I have no idea what I'm doing. In fact, I'm going to start the song. We're going to get out of here.